Hey everyone, welcome back to the Greek Pharmacist. My name is John Economou, I'm your host, and today we're talking about maybe the most well-known painkiller in the world, which is no other than paracetamol. Some of you might know it as acetaminophen. For this episode, I'm going to be a little selfish and call it paracetamol because this is how we know it in Greece and it's just easier for me. Hope you can forgive me. So there are a lot of myths surrounding that medication and we'll dive into them and see what they're all about. Myth number 1, paracetamol can fight off a cold. Well, as we know, paracetamol is an analgesic and antipyretic. It's indicated for physical pain as well as fever. Now, pain and fever can be symptoms of an upper respiratory tract infection, or URTI for short. So paracetamol can be used to relieve those symptoms like generalized muscle pain, sore throat, headache, and so on. However, we should not assume that paracetamol has any antimicrobial action because it doesn't. That means it's not going to treat the URTI. The infection is probably going to go away on its own, especially if we're talking about a viral infection like the common cold. But paracetamol will give you a better quality of life while your immune system fights off the virus. Myth number 2, paracetamol is an anti-inflammatory. That is also false. Paracetamol has a different mechanism of action than the mainstream non-steroidal anti-inflammatory medications. We know that it works by inhibiting the production of prostaglandins at the peroxidase site. It can activate the 5-HT3 serotonin receptors, it can interact with our endocannabinoid system, etc. However, it does not have any interaction with the cyclooxygenase site. It can be deactivated in peripheral tissue and its actions are very limited on damaged cells. So its anti-inflammatory action, even if there is any, is of no clinical importance. It could, in some cases, replace anti-inflammatories, like when the patient has sensitivity in the gastrointestinal system, they have a history of stomach ulcers, for example, or they have resistant hypertension, or they are under strict anticoagulant treatment, but paracetamol is definitely not the first-line treatment when dealing with inflammation. Myth number 3, paracetamol damages the liver. Well, the dose makes the poison. Let's start from the beginning. When paracetamol enters the body, it's going to go through several metabolic pathways because the body needs to get rid of it at some point because it's a foreign entity and the organism doesn't have any use for it. So the body tries to turn it into something very water soluble so it can excrete it through urine. Now, during that metabolic process, paracetamol changes form and shape. And at some point it becomes more toxic by turning into a toxic metabolite called NAPQI, that's N-acetyl-P-benzoquinonimine, but I think you'll agree to call it NAPQI. Under normal circumstances, if we're using paracetamol the right way, natural detox agents of the body, specifically liver's glutathione, can get rid of that toxic metabolite. However, if we take too much paracetamol all at once, or if we keep taking it even in therapeutic doses for a very long period of time, we are at risk of acute or chronic toxicity because there simply won't be enough glutathione to counteract the effects of NAPQI, and NAPQI is then going to damage the liver. So keep in mind that if you're using paracetamol in the right dose and for the right length of time, then you shouldn't have to worry about liver toxicity. Fun fact, in 2012, the FDA suggested a lower maximum daily intake for paracetamol from 4 grams per day to 3 grams per day. In Europe, we still use it up to 4 grams per day. Myth number 4, paracetamol is an over-the-counter medication, so it's safe even if we don't use it exactly as intended. That is not true. And it's a dangerous way of looking at over-the-counter medication in general. Over-the-counter medication still have patient information leaflets, and for a good reason. They still have specific indications and dosage, possible side effects, adverse reactions, and interactions with other medications, so be mindful about that. I know that in some countries, over-the-counter medication is sold in supermarkets and you don't really need to go through the pharmacist in order to purchase them. To be honest with you, I don't like that. Thankfully, that's not the case for Greece. I believe that the pharmacist should be in a position where they can investigate whether the medication, any medication for that matter, is given to the right patient for the right reason at the right dose. And before you take any medication or supplement, please consult your doctor or your pharmacist so that they can advise you on proper use. We have reached the end of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed listening. If you want to share with me your feedback or give me ideas about the content of my next episodes, you can send me a message on Instagram at johneconomo91. See you all very soon. Until then, stay safe and healthy.